now, please welcome Senior Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at Booking.com, Rob Francis.
This guy.
In conversation with Skift founding editor and executive editor, Dennis Schaal.
Rob, thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
And hello, London. Help me out with some questions in the app, okay? Bail me out, I'm counting on you. So Rob, about a month ago, which seems like about 7 dog years ago in the tech world, your CEO, Glenn Fogel, said at an earnings call, he talked about, there's a lot of hype about AI right now. And then he talked about how Booking has used AI for, a number of years.
Very true.
It's not something brand new. But then in the meantime, last week or the week before, Expedia launched something with ChatGPT. Your sister brands, Kayak and OpenTable, launched their own ChatGPT things with links. Mm-hmm. So did Glenn call a code red at Booking.com? Was it an all hands on deck?
Code red is kind of an extreme term, so I would say code red, no. But there are two things going on. Mm-hmm. The hype is,
is real.
Is real.
Okay.
So what's possible here and what these large language models and all this generative AI brings is super exciting, and it is going to shape many industries, not just travel. So in that way, our urgency is high to sort out. We've got to do something here, and we think we have an opportunity to lead in that.
Okay.
What we don't feel is that being the first to market with a plug-in for a certain small thing is it's got to be something exciting. It's got to be something that maintains trust with our customers, partners, and travelers. So the urgency is high. We have lots of efforts going on within Booking right now to see what we think brings something differentiating. So the urgency is there. So while you may not see, you see Kayak, for example, one of our sister brands is playing with this. They're out to market. We're learning from them. I talk to the CTOs of the other brands quite frequently. Mm-hmm. So we're learning in different ways, but we have lots of, I would say, irons in the fire right now in the area.
So why do you think there's still hype out there, and why do you think you have an opportunity to lead in AI?
I think there are a few reasons. One, I would go back to, we have been doing AI for a very long time.
Right.
And so, the practice of actually doing AI well sometimes comes down to just good operations. So having running ML, machine learning, in an enterprise is difficult. It means quality data. It means continuously retraining your models, really staying on top of those things. So pretty easy to get something out the door, necessarily. I would say 5 years ago, it took a pretty special skill set to build a model, get it in place. That's getting easier and easier. And I think generative AI, ChatGPT, is making things even more easy. But where I think Booking is well positioned is we have an entire workforce that is well disciplined in doing this at scale. So we have large amounts of data. We have a large ecosystem, and that's where these models get really interesting. If you think about these large language models, it's the massive amounts of data they've been crawling for some time. So we think we can augment that with some of the things that are unique to Booking and bring some unique experiences.
So are there things that as you look at it, are there things that you think you can do in the short term versus other things that will take a lot longer to roll out?
Indeed, yeah. There are short-term things. It's too early to say what those might look like.
Okay.
But we see some things that are short-term that, we'll bring some things to market in the shorter term. So as I said, urgency is high. We're looking at things. We think that fundamentally, a lot of things can change. The way that we call it adaptive content. The example I use is if you think about one of the things that people like about Booking.com is kind of the filtering, easy to click a few times and get narrowed into what you're actually looking for. But what these generative models do quite well is capture intent through natural language. I think that's quite powerful. Are we ever going to write or a filter that says, I'm looking for a romantic weekend, but make it cheesy? Are we going to build the cheesy filter? Probably not. But what these models do is help capture what you mean by cheesy. So now you can start to find the places with a heart-shaped bed, right? Because it's cheesy. But those sorts of things, and you might even change the layout of a page. You might change just how it looks and what the experience would be if it's a couple, if it's a family, if it's business. So the actual layout of the change, technology is going to adapt these models.
So would that
as well.
be like the only page that this customer sees, or would it be a combination of things?
I'm speculating here.
Yeah.
But I think where this goes in industry is the notion of the page goes away. It's what best suits this person. So it really becomes more adaptive to the context within which someone is.
What do you
looking to
mean the
see something.
page goes away?
Meaning today, in most websites, there's a page that, oh, you want to look at a thing. Here's the page that we show that thing.
Right.
Maybe that goes away. And that I'm looking to render something differently. I'm not looking for something that focuses on a property. I'm looking on something that focuses on the property owner. So the layout of what you actually present starts to look different, because that's actually the intention. If you were to say, I'm looking for a place, I'm looking for providers who are stellar at cleanliness and safety. Now it's less about the property and more about the provider, the partner. So does that mean you should be showing a page about properties or a page about providers?
What do you mean by providers in this context?
A partner in our, in the supply ecosystem. So that can be, on the supply side for anything in travel, really.
So this changes the whole game in terms of people coming to your website, or people coming to your new rendering and turning them into customers. There could be a whole different dynamic.
Potentially, yeah. I think what I'm really trying to convey is that that's where this starts to get interesting. It's adaptive. So I think the strength of Booking is we sort of, I call it the co-creation of value between a traveler and a partner. We're good for each other. So what's the intention of that traveler married up with the intention of the partner is actually what this brings. And today, it looks like what it looks like.
Right.
It could look different.
So it sounds like you would agree with people who say this will be a fundamental platform shift.
Yes.
And a lot of people are saying that one of your best partners, Google, has the most to lose as this evolves. Do you view it that way? Or, Google came out with Bard, their answer to ChatGPT. How do you view that?
Yeah, I think they're concerned. I think there's a reason that it's a bit of a
They
code
did
red
call
there.
a code
They
red.
did call it code red. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's disruptive to search engine optimization, those sorts of things. So I think they've got to respond to it, indeed.
Right. So speaking of search, Airbnb last year launched categories. So you can now go to Airbnb and search like 24 or 26 categories. You can search for mansions and, I don't know, igloos, or I think tiny homes, things like that. And they said that nothing has really happened in travel search in 20 years. And they were launching this, and this is the first innovative thing in travel search. Would you agree with that? Has Booking done anything innovative in travel search?
Yeah, I think we have, and I think it's in the world of machine learning. That is ultimately what we try to do is bring the right property to the traveler at the right time at the right price. And there are lots of factors that play into that. And so I think some of the things we've done already in the machine learning space are pretty innovative in that way. That's a complicated thing to get right.
And it might not be something...
And to make it seem simple, quite honestly.
Right.
It makes it feel like nothing has changed, but actually being smarter about bringing the right things forward is not nothing.
I was going to say that, a lot of these things are behind the scenes and aren't visible to the person visiting your website.
Yeah, indeed.
Right. So Booking has been doing a lot of discounting lately, offering all kinds of deals, merchandising. And there was a blog post from this company called Mirai and their role is to try to get hotels to increase their direct bookings. And they found a hotel where, and we have it on the screen here, where Booking's price was way below the hotel direct price, plus Booking offered a more flexible cancellation policy. And the kicker was, if you book this, you would get a $110 credit towards your next booking. Very, very appealing. I assume I think you guys are making a lot of inroads with this, but what does it mean for hotels who are looking to increase their direct bookings?
Yeah, I think of it this way. What we try to do at Booking, I mentioned earlier, try to bring the right property to the right person at the right time at the right price. Many things go into what the right price is or what the right opportunity is. The value proposition for our partners is that we bring a very large ecosystem. In 2022, we booked over nearly 900 million rooms. So we have a large platform where we can make it easier to find that opportunity, the co-creation of value between supply and demand in the first place. What goes into how we price a product is a complicated thing that we actually balance what's right for partners and what's right for travelers. So in some cases, we will subsidize something fully funded by Booking. So we're not taking that necessarily out of the partner's pocket, but we are bringing the right property at the right price to the right traveler at that time. So in some cases, we will do that. We do not do that in all cases. So, but we fund that versus taking it out of the margin or something from the partner itself.
In some cases, the hotel is subsidizing that, right? For your Genius program?
Yeah.
So Booking had its own blog post a while ago, how hotels can build better relationships with guests and the role of online platforms, what role they can play. And they talked about things, how Booking can increase the guest's trust in the hotel. You have fraud protection. And they talked about the billboard effect, which is people search on Booking for a hotel, but they find out about the hotel, and the hotel eventually gets the direct booking. But those are all kinds of indirect kind of things. Are there more things than you can do?
There's always more we can do. So we're absolutely looking at, I go back to sort of that co-creation of value is what's key to me. So we're always looking for more that we can do. But I wouldn't discount what you just described, actually. I spent some time with one of our partners a few weeks ago and described that story of, he was, he got caught in a scam, and it was super complicated. And he realized he wished he had used the Booking platform for what he was trying to do. But it was the fact that people trust that if you stay at a property on Booking that you're going to be safe. Surprisingly, that score is very high in terms of it's not the gym, it's not the pool. People looking for safety. Can they trust that if I book here, it's going to be what I think it is? And we put a tremendous amount of effort into. It's not just fraud with a credit card. It's fraud around the images themselves. So that score is quite high in terms of what people are looking for. So the value that people can trust that when you book at Booking, the property is going to look like what the photo looks like. We also apply a lot of machine learning against fraud detection in images as well. So I wouldn't discount that. So we're always looking in that space, but we also are looking for new opportunities all the time to make things better for partners.
I once attended a conference in LA with a bunch of people from Booking.com, and they had booked an Airbnb, which turned out it didn't exist. They showed up, and the doorman told them, oh, another group of guests, But anyway, we have an audience question that relates to something that I was going to ask you about, because Booking has had some incidents where partners have been hacked or they've fallen for phishing schemes, as well as customers have gotten phishing emails. So the question is security a challenge for the SVP tech at Booking? How do you think hotel brands have to think about data security and breaches going forward?
Yeah, I would say yes. Is security a challenge for an SVP tech at insert any company name? Yes. It's something you always have to be thinking about. In the context of Booking, indeed, we have a challenge in that, for our travelers, it's all Booking to them. So, that relationship that we need to have with our partners, is crucial. So we have to do everything we can do to help our partners protect their data. But I think you can always do better in this space. So at the end of the day, the case you're describing, well, it's less than 1%, of total bookings. It's a terrible experience for travelers to have been frauded in some form or fashion. So to me, that's the traveler experience, regardless of who was victim of malware or something like this. So I think there are much more we can do in terms of the authentication that we bring to our partners when they come to our portal. There's a friction there, of course, ease of use versus upping our game in terms of how our partners authenticate. But we've identified a number of things we can do to strengthen that. But we think that the entire industry has to move towards multi-factor authentication for nearly everything.
Right.
It just has to be that way. The world of post-it notes with a password on a screen at a reception desk just doesn't work anymore.
So Booking has been working hard the last couple of years on developing your own payment system, and it's part of your connected trip strategy. What does this mean for hotels? Is there a plus? We can see the plus side for travelers. What does it mean for hotels? Because don't they already have their own payment systems from PMS providers, for example?
Some do, some don't. What it does bring is also I'm going to go back to fraud, actually. I'm sorry, it sounds like I'm talking about obsessed with fraud. I'm not, but it's real. So we take on that fraud prevention on behalf of especially the smaller shops maybe that don't have as mature of a partner in that space. So that's just a small example of the type of things we bring.
And how does the payments technology fit into your connected trip strategy?
It's largely flexibility. What we're known for is great price, great selection, great flexibility. And so that part of trying to bring the right price to the right traveler at the right time, having some flexibility in pricing is a big part of that, and this platform makes that possible.
Okay, another audience question here. When you search on Booking.com, you're still presented with a list of properties, both hotels and apartments or homes. Do you think this will change as we think about chat-based search or voice search?
I think it will change. I think it will also still exist. Where this goes, it's tough to say. For sure, we will find, and much like in many places, we've done some hack weeks and hackathons that we've seen where indeed we can do this, where you can just ask the question and you can see some things you want, and you can just say, hey, build my itinerary, where you don't have to see the property page, things like that. So that's certainly possible. The maturation of this we will see. And so when I think of where voice has been, in some ways, if anybody has tried to book travel with a voice assistant, it's pretty frustrating. Like, I would rather just have a couple of boxes to click and hit search than go through that 30-minute dialogue of back and forth. ChatGPT changes that. It gets that intention right much more so. In some cases, you just want to click a couple of boxes and go. So I think user behaviors will evolve over time. But there's no reason we actually can't start to see that evolution occur now. So
that's what's missing in ChatGPT right now, the voice aspect, right? It'd be great if you could ask the question rather than having to type it in.
Indeed. Yeah, I sometimes joke that the voice assistants were meant to be that, but they kind of turned into kitchen timers and a little bit of smart home control because they didn't have that. It was so frustrating. That's certainly going to change for voice as well because it's certainly applicable.
Right. So we see Expedia providing technology to hotels. They're working with IHG and Marriott, among others, in terms of policing rate parity issues. What role does Booking see these days in providing technology to hotels? You had Booking Suite, you shut that down, so is that game over as far as that aspect of your technology?
Yeah, I mean, we shut it down, so we're not trying to have it linger. One of the things that, as a company, we're trying to be better. It's really hard to do in a large company is stop doing something, no, really, stop. So we stopped that. So we are focused on the connected trip and how we bring, so I think what happens as part of the connected trip is we may end up with partners that we don't have today, just to bring richer experiences. And the nature of the relationship with our partners will evolve over time. And so as the connected trip becomes stronger, we will see that evolve, but it's too early to say exactly what that's going to look like.
Right. Another audience question about advertising. In today's age of lifestyle and personalization in marketing, is Booking thinking about enabling brands to customize the form of ads on Booking?
To be honest, I do not know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I couldn't answer that one, but I will file it away.
You have a lot of programs like the Accelerator program where people can go higher into the, on the top of listings and those kind of things, but, yeah. Okay. What are the things that travelers are clamoring for in terms of hotel search on Booking? What are they looking for?
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. It's interesting. At the top of it is safety, actually. So can I have confidence that my payment is going to go to the right place, that my family or myself are going to be physically safe in the location? Is it going to look like, is it going to be in a location that I thought it would be? Those actually show up very high. Interestingly enough, gym, pretty low.
Really?
Yeah, actually. Wi-Fi sometimes shows up as a thing. It's almost like a table stakes at this point. Mm-hmm. If there's no Wi-Fi, then people don't want it. So in search, it's still filtering for those sorts of things. People are looking for, I think 50% of our customer traveler base is looking for something that's beautiful where they can Instagram it. Actually,
right.
It shows up.
50%?
Yeah, I'm surprised by that as well.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty wild. So this is a hotel conference, but I've noticed that in the last few earnings reports that you guys have had, that the percentage of short-term rentals that are booked through Booking.com has really been stable at around 30% or 33%, something like that. And it seems like you don't want it to grow higher. I mean, you do want to make inroads in short-term rentals, but you don't want to bring it to like 50% because you make less money on short-term rentals than you do on hotels. So how should hotels feel about that? Should they take some comfort in that you're going to remain mostly focused on hotels?
I mean, what I would say is we don't think about it that way.
Okay.
We think about it in terms of what do travelers look for. So, and how can we help to bring a platform that makes it possible to do what travelers are looking for. So short-term, long-term, what's best for customers is actually how we think about it. And we believe that if you do what's right for customers, then that's actually, the revenue and the other things follow that.
So in other words, customers are looking more for hotels than they are short-term rentals.
They're looking for everything. It's like, as I mentioned, 900 million rooms in 2022. So it's quite it's hard to say that there's a single thing they're looking for.
Okay. Switching gears, you guys just moved into a new headquarters, right?
Not quite, actually.
Okay.
June.
In June.
So somehow my team ended up being the last team that gets to move in. I'm not sure how that happened.
What's up with that?
Actually, because we moved out of a temporary space. So in Amsterdam, we grew and we scattered across all of these different buildings in Amsterdam. And our lease was up and our temporary one, new building not ready. So now we're in just sort of, it's the shuffling deck of real estate. It's always hard. But we are moving in, we start in May and then end of June.
And will it be 5 days a week?
No. Well, will people be working 5 days a week? Yes. Will
people have to work 5 days a week?
People need to work 5 days a week.
Right.
They need to be in the office 5 days a week? No. Like everyone in industry, we're trying to figure out actually what works best. We think the world of everybody needs to be in the office every day of the week is over. So we've done a number of pilots with teams, but I don't think we're in a different situation than anyone else really in terms of trying to figure out for a tech workforce in particular where it's possible to work from home.
Right.
What has to be the case. We do think there's value in being together at times. So we're trying to find that balance of what's the right ratio, and then how do you do it? All teams some days, some teams other days. All of those are just, I think, we have to keep trying different things and see what works, much like everyone else.
Yep, everyone's looking for that balance.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Sure.
Thank you.